All right. How well do those blades spin? Pretty well?
It should spin pretty well. Oh.
Brickmaniacs, welcome to another Designer Studio episode of Brickmania TV.
Can you see?
I think my eyes are
Here,
visible.
let's switch sides. Is that better?
You are taller than me. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. I've never stood on this side of the desk before. Great. Dan.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going well. I'm in the wrong ear now.
What have you brought to the table today?
This is the CH-53E, the Super Stallion.
Super Stallion.
Super Stallion. Yeah, it has lots of other nicknames, and most of them aren't safe for a general public audience. But yes.
This is a big helicopter.
Yes.
We've done a Super Stallion before?
Yes. In fact, this one is based off the previous one.
Okay.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So as the saying goes.
But that was 4, 5, 6 years ago?
Oh, right, yeah. So there's a distant relation to our previous version. Look at it that way at this point.
Yeah.
So much is rebuilt, almost a complete rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
New technology, new parts, new printing, new abilities that Brickmania has. The new blue roof. I mean, it's
right. 6 years ago, Sam Blue was not widely available.
No, it was a
and
rare
it's still
thing.
not widely available. But
it's better than it was.
Right.
There's enough to be useful at this point.
Correct. So, right. It's like you can get away with doing a long expanse of 1 by whatever's because that's the choice you have, right?
Right. But they've become available. They've become available in quantity. So why not use them? So I'm slowly going to relaunch all of our Marine Corps aviation, modern Marine Corps aviation, and even Navy with these blue tops on it. So it's
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's happening. This just happens to be the first in line. It's the biggest. It's the oldest. The one that hasn't had as much love, from our our crew in a long time. So it definitely needs to be done. This is the first time I've seen it with the printing on it. So I'm pretty amazed.
Me too, as well. Like I've been the parts have been printed for a little bit, and this is the first time they've been on the model. And
Right.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
A little bit of the history of the helicopter.
Well, this is the CH-53 series. This isn't the newest one. But this is the one that the Marine Corps uses now prolifically. It has been using it for the last 2-3 decades now.
Okay.
So heavy lift, triple turbine engine. So there's 3 turbines in here.
1, 2, and
7
3.
blades on the rotor.
Jeez.
So it's
as much lift as possible.
Yes,
without getting into dual rotor.
They consider this a heavy lift helicopter. So by heavy lift, it can easily pick up 2 Humvees.
2 Humvees, one JLTV.
One JLTV, which we've demonstrated when I was building this. I actually rigged up a JLTV and flew it around the design room. And, a feat that's never been repeated just because we've been busy.
The Marines would this is mostly used for troop transport, though, correct?
It is a potential troop transport, but it has in that platform, it has been in that I guess service that use has been replaced by the Osprey.
Oh, sure.
The Osprey can fly further and faster than this. It can't lift as much. This is still like the king of the heavy lift.
Okay, so this is mostly now cargo. As far
Cargo,
as
but they can still fit 50 some odd troops in the back. So they can fit more guys in one of these than an Osprey for sure. It's bigger, but it's more specialized. The Osprey is definitely the workhorse of the troop transport field. But when it comes to like, we need to move this artillery piece, we need to resupply, this is going to be the king. This is the workhorse.
I think
in that regard.
All of our listeners have now seen the Macon Island that you built.
Yes.
And
I built with my friends.
with a little bit of help. So that's amphibious assault ship.
Yes.
It would carry 3 of these? 2 of these?
Up to 4.
Up to 4. Okay.
I mean, it could carry more, but typically when they deploy, they'll have as many as 4 on board if they're going to have them at all. But they do a lot of like heavy lift, utility work. It's just they do the things that the other aircraft just aren't capable of in that sort of a heavy duty capacity.
Awesome. Okay. So, all right, about the model. So it's new color scheme.
New color scheme. The previous version, I mean, the previous version, there's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't up to what our current standards would be. So rebuilt it so we could have this stand on here. The previous version didn't have a stand. It does sit great on its landing gear, so it's not a crutch. It's actually just makes it look cooler.
It does look really cool.
And you can repose this stand any way you want to. But this helicopter is very heavy.
Okay.
It's as I rebuilt it, it became a lot more parts dense.
Okay.
I didn't take any shortcuts, and in fact, I strengthened a lot of things that were. It could have used a little bit more reinforcement.
Sure.
So we have a little bit more heavy duty build, heavier than the previous one. It's like 400 more parts, I think, than the original version.
Whoa.
So, yeah, a lot of that's in the stand, of course. But
Sure.
but
and a lot of it's due to needing to go to single wides versus double wides, or due to the colors and things like that.
Yeah. There were certain parts that had to be replaced. So there's a little bit of less parts efficiency. Just to get that color in there, but I can't do anything about that. It does make it look a little bit better. That blue on the top, on the sides. Some things I just couldn't do. I mean, it's just there is still a parts availability issue. So, I gotta flip this thing around.
All right. Careful.
Did add some more details on the fuselage. We do have radio antennas on the side now, printing on both sides. So by default, what you're looking at is the default markings this kit came with.
Yep.
If you were lucky enough to get on the first batch, you could have actually gotten a complete set of alternative tiles in your choice of squadron.
Yep. Your own helicopter number, squadron decal for the stand. Yeah. And
about how many of those extra packs did we do? Is it like a full batch of 50?
No, it was like 33, I think, is what it came out to. So. Those are all now printed. As of today, also. Yeah, so expect those soon.
So as of this recording, these haven't shipped yet because we're still refining the instructions. It's a model this big is not go together quickly. So, but it should be. I mean, I'm anticipating by the time you watch this video, they either will be getting ready to be sent or on their way. So.
Yeah. So all those lucky initial promotion people will have 2 sets of printed parts to make either the default or their own special helicopter.
That being said, it's 2 sets of only the variable printed parts. You don't get enough to make a second helicopter.
Correct. Yes, because there's a lot of prints on here.
There is. I love the print on the air intakes here. This sort of mesh screen that goes over the air intake.
On the old version of this was one of those half.
It was a half cone.
Half cone. And printing on cones is really, really nuts for us.
It's not a thing.
So to print on a cone successfully, we would have had to make, I believe, 6 prints.
Different wedges.
Like for each little wedge of that. And we chose instead to go with this part. And that, as the guy who designs the prints, this was a really difficult
I'm sure it was.
design project. I had to figure out where the seam was between the surfaces, and the prints kind of wrap up and over, and it turned out really slick.
It is. Really I'm 100% amazed. When I saw it, even before it was printed, I just saw when we were putting the art on the L-draw parts for making the instructions. Like, wow, that looks really cool, and you can't even tell that the angle of the cones goes over, the angle of the pattern goes over the edges of the slope. It's really wild.
Yeah, it's a crowning achievement for things that look simple, but were incredibly difficult for the year.
I was skeptical, but I was wrong.
I was also not, when I said, yeah, let's do it, I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but it worked out great. Right. So I'm very proud of that.
So lots of prints. You do have of course, the marine, this is lots of cross
element printing. Yep.
We're printing on hinges. We've never done that before. So we're kind of treading some new ground here. So this marine's on here. You make it look so easy. And the print team makes it look so easy, but that's like 8 pieces right there.
Yeah. So no big deal. That was pretty easy, as it turns out. Pretty easy. Oh. Yeah.
So let's actually pull this thing apart while we're sitting here. I'm going to pull this rotor off the top. Let's see if I can get it off in one piece. Hey, look at that. One thing that's different about the previous version. This looks very similar, but I did some reinforcing on this. I think that was a common mishap, especially when we were moving the Macon. We found that we were breaking the rotors every time we moved it. This has been greatly reinforced. Twice the staying power, actually 4 times as many studs holding it together.
So that's important. Makes for a heavier rotor, maybe less accurate looking, but you want your model to stay together.
Right.
Yep.
It's when you're building on this scale with the parts available, we don't have titanium, we don't have steel, we don't have aluminum. So.
We're not going to shove brass rods through it. Yeah, right.
So now that I have that apart, let's just take this thing. I wanted to just show the inside because there's some huge differences on the inside. So our previous version was based on the earlier models of the CH-53E, the Super Stallion. So I'm just going to want to hold this thing. I'm going to pull the top off of here. So let's just get into this. Pull this top off. I'll set it on here so we don't knock that tail strut off. But inside we have a completely new interior. So that has individual benches that fold down. Whereas the original version, when they first made this back in the 80s and late 70s, it had a fabric bench that pulled down. And they found out that fabric bench, if this thing landed real hard or they had a crash or something, the troops that were sitting in there would end up with like major back injuries because there was no shock absorbing fabric. So they built individual seats that actually are collapsible. So if the guys are sitting in there, helicopter goes down, lands real hard, they don't have all these spinal injuries. But as you can see now, there's actually 3 guns. The original version we only had 2. We didn't have a ramp gun on, so I added the ramp gun, rebuilt the cockpit area. So there's all new printing in there.
All new printing inside there. Yeah, I'm happy to have updated that. That old control main instrument panel, we got a lot of use out of it.
It was taken out of the Pavlo. Yeah. And this doesn't have in real life. This doesn't have all the sensors that the Pavlo had. So ended up just pulling that out of there just to let's get a new updated cockpit set of cockpit controls. So console in the middle, console up front. I don't know if you can see any of that in the video. All new chaff dispensers on either side, and then of course we have our life raft that we've used before in other applications, other helicopters. But wanted to make sure that you guys could see the inside, and make sure that you're not just getting a hollow box, but it does do what it's supposed to do, and your ramps do go up and down and all that other stuff. So
just enough detail in there, I think.
Yeah, it's just enough. You could take those seats out and stuff a small vehicle in there or other pallets of supplies, things like that anyway too. So
yeah,
it's more than just the helicopter. We should mention the figures though too while we have this all.
Sure. Amanda designed these figs for it, and so of course it comes with 2 pilots, and then it's got 3 crew. Whether we want to be a crew chief or gunners, you could put a guy at each gun because 3 guns for 3 crew.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful printed helmets on these guys.
So those are 3D printed helmets with UV printing on, and the Chiefs actually have the maxillofacial shields too. So
right, and the visors, just stunning figures.
So that's a 2-piece print. Look at that. That's 2 pieces. That's actually glued together, and then you have this facial maxial shield, which is another piece together. So each one of these pilots has 3, or the crew chiefs, gunners have 3D printed parts that are actually UV printed. Plus, they have details on their faces and everything too. So if you do take them apart, they're not just like blank heads under there.
Right. So she did a great job. Here's the back of the fig, and
the pilots are unique. The pilots are different. They're not the same loadout as the Chiefs. So they look at first glance, they look very similar, but green is green.
A uniform is a uniform. Yeah.
So we opted this time for the green uniform because that's what we see the most in current pictures. I'm sure when they're out in country somewhere else, they may be switching to a tan flight suit. But for the most part, we see them green. So we decided we're going to do them in green. We see them when we were out at Miramar. They were all wearing green. So we're doing what we saw.
Super cool. This one looked great on the Macon. I'm excited for them to get their copies to update the vehicles on that.
It's a fantastic model, and I'm glad we did it.
I'm excited we did it too.
Yeah. I'll just hold this up again so you can see what you can be playing with. You could imagine yourself sitting in one of those seats, maybe the pilot seat. we want to get you into a CH-53E Super Stallion.
So jump down to your Marine recruiting station today.
Yes, for some heavy lift action. Pull that landing gear down. Oh, I broke it, of course. There we go. All right.
Cool. I think that's it, unless you have any parting words of wisdom.
No. Okay. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of
Brickmania Designer Studio.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.